এখন বক্তব্য রাখবেন ব্রিটিশ পার্লামেন্টের সম্মানিত সদস্য মিস্টার সালমান ডানজক। Now I would request Honourable Mr. Salman Danczuk, Member British Parliament, to address the Council. Mr. Salman Danczuk.
Thank you very much for the invitation to come and speak about democracy today. And let me start by saying Tariq Rahman is very well and in very good spirits. I met with him recently in London, and there is no doubt that he is looking forward to returning to Bangladesh in the near future. On behalf of the British Bangladesh National Party community, my good friend Mr. Malik passes on his greetings. And let me say thank you to everyone who has hosted me in Dhaka over the last few days, especially Mr. Amir Khusru Chowdhury and Delia Lakura. As a Member of Parliament for Rochdale, just north of Manchester in the United Kingdom, I am very proud to represent a large number of constituents who are of Bangladeshi origin. Literally thousands of people in Rochdale are strongly connected to this great country. And the Bangladeshi community in Rochdale make a great contribution to our economy and to our culture. Long may that continue. But let me also use this opportunity, whilst I am here in Bangladesh, to pay my respects to a gentleman, Mr. Jalal Uddin, who I am very sorry to say was murdered on the streets of Rochdale on the 18th of February. He was a highly respected member of the Rochdale Bangladesh community, and he will be sadly missed. He came from, as most of his family still live there, Bishwanara in Sylhet, just as Ilyas Ali came from that same place. And we should also remember Ilyas Ali today. We will not forget that Ilyas Ali was disappeared on the 17th of April 2012. Our thoughts are with his family also. Comrades, political colleagues, let me say that I come here today as a Democrat, that it is my purpose in addressing you to talk about democracy, to talk about our special relationship between Britain and Bangladesh, but also to talk about what I think the international community needs to do to help with democracy in Bangladesh. Britain and Bangladesh have many shared interests. Our countries are both part of the Commonwealth family. We are inextricably linked like family members. We grow and develop together within that family. Indeed, it was Commonwealth Day on Monday, when we all celebrated and remembered what the Commonwealth is about and what it stands for. Democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. And let us not forget that Britain was supportive of Bangladesh in 1971, when your country was being born, whilst other nations were supporting Pakistan. We wanted you to have your own nation. We have such strong cultural, political and commercial ties. We have shared interests in trade, investment, development and security. We have a shared belief in democracy. Britain, an old democracy. Bangladesh, a young democracy. And let us not forget 1971. I pay my respects to all of you who played a part in creating this great nation. Without you, the Bengali people would have remained subservient to Pakistan. Your language would have been lost. Your history would have been eradicated. Democracy would have been denied. And let us not forget, as we approach Independence Day on the 26th of March, that it was Zia-ur-Rahman who was the leader of the Bangladesh forces during that liberation war. It was Zia-ur Rahman who broadcast the Bangladesh Declaration of Independence, and it was he who is credited with stabilising this great country when it previously fell into difficulty. But whilst we are talking about Bangladesh, democracy and parliament, let us also celebrate Khaleda Zia, who gave your elected members of parliament real power by moving this country to a parliamentary democracy in 1991. Bangladesh is a great nation. The many thousands that died liberating this country in 1971 did not die in vain. You continue to grow as a country. Your people are ambitious and industrial, not just here in Bangladesh, but right across the world. And you have a young nation still with many opportunities before it. But one thing that will hold Bangladesh back is a lack of democracy. Let me be absolutely clear. On the 5th of January 2014, democracy in Bangladesh died. The government's failure to establish a caretaker government in the run-up to that election was a mistake. We know that as a consequence, the turnout by Bangladeshi standards was pitifully low. There was also violence and intimidation in the run-up to that election, not befitting of such a great nation. The end result of all this is that many millions of Bangladeshi people do not feel represented. They feel disenfranchised and democracy has been lost. That is why so many nations across the world condemned the 2014 election. It has done a disservice to Bangladesh's standing in the world. And what has followed since that general election? Political intimidation, disappearances, a loss of media freedom, a breakdown in human rights, the creation of a culture of fear. Let me provide some examples. The non-governmental organisation Human Rights Watch have criticised the authorities' use of excessive force, including extrajudicial killings of opposition supporters. Law enforcement agencies are being accused of human rights abuses. They are responsible for the killings and disappearances of political opponents. A gagging order banning the media from publishing statements by Tariq Rahman. The forced confinement of Khaleda Zia just last year. The list of the bias against the opposition continues. We have the International Crimes Tribunal. It does not meet international standards. It is clearly politicised and being used not to serve justice, but to provide political results. The consequence of this is that civic society has shrunk. People are not speaking up. Debate is curtailed. There's less space and less freedom. And in many ways, that creates extremes within some small groups within society. Another consequence is that the private sector is being curtailed. There's real crowding out of entrepreneurs who just have, instead we have favoured businessmen allegedly receiving favours from government. It's stifling investment. So instead of Bangladesh having economic growth in double figures, it remains stubbornly low, hovering at around 6%. My worry is that a further consequence is that the people will finally rise up, that more and more lives will be lost. Protest will get increasingly out of hand. People will take the law into their own hands if they believe their government is failing them. Let me finish by saying I also have a positive outlook, because history teaches us that a regime that is failing or treating its people badly will not last. I think that countries like Britain need to say and do more. The voice of British politicians must get louder as the situation here gets worse. British government ministers have to start making their voices heard here in Bangladesh, but also in the European Union and indeed in the Commonwealth. I spoke earlier about celebrating the Commonwealth's principles of democracy, human rights and the rule of law. Well, now is the time for the Commonwealth to challenge this Bangladesh government to abide by these principles. And earlier I spoke about the British and Bangladesh special relationship. Well, now is the time for Britain to say the relationship will be soured. Even sanctions should be applied if there is not a return to true democracy here in Bangladesh. And earlier, I spoke about the history of this great young nation. And from meeting all of you today, I am in no doubt that you will do all you possibly can to keep Bangladesh great. Good luck and best wishes in your endeavours. Thank you very much indeed.